this is so much more than you can ever hope for. It's like, it's therapy, it's movement, it's laughter, it's breathwork, it's dhyana, all in one beautiful hour. Wow. Wow, there's such a thing in this world that you can have it all in 1 hour. And then, those inhibitions break down very quickly. I'm not going to say that, it's like, because, and it is, yoga is, it's a workout of the nervous system, of the cardiovascular system, of the respiratory system. Of course, we're moving the body head to toe, but it's so much more than that. That's one little aspect, right? That's just the top of the surface. We know that.
Welcome everyone to the Yoga Conversations podcast, where we meet with yogis, meditation, and wellness practitioners. They help us dissect this mystic space and make it accessible for everyone. So today we have with us Mansi Mahajan, who is a yogi and an entrepreneur. She is an international yoga and wellness coach who has her own yoga school under the International Yoga Alliance. And she also leads yoga retreats and workshops both in India and abroad. She is the founder of House of Kapaali. This is her entrepreneur side, which is an award-winning wellness space based in Delhi, Goa, and the Himalayas. And she is also the founder of Manaste, which promotes a lifestyle of well-being inside and out. She is also an published author who has recently completed a series of yoga books for children. And she has been awarded the Exceptional Woman of Excellence Award by the Women Economic Forum 3 years in a row. Being a source of inspiration, she believes that the need for practices that open our hearts and unite our spirit is more urgent than ever. So, welcome, Mansi.
Thank you, Harish. It's wonderful to be here with you and your beautiful family that you're creating with all the wonderful efforts that you're doing. So thank you for having me. Very honored.
Thank you. It was good to hear about that. So, Mansi, I'll jump right in. How did you start your journey into yoga?
My journey into yoga, that's an interesting question because it began before I even, maybe before I even understood what life had in store for me. So I think my first yoga class must have been when I was 12 years old. So, my mother, she just took my sister and I to a yoga shala, which was across from our house. And I was so inspired by this lady because she would push away her whole house to create space, put yoga mats 4 a.m. every day. And then she'll put her house, all the furniture back in every day at 4 p.m. And this was her life for years. I think she still does it. And she's, she must be like 70 now. And she looks not a day over 45. I was like, she's doing something right. I'll do this. And I think it wasn't even a conscious decision. When you're so young in your early teens, if something reaches deep, it really goes deep. So, I learned a few basic practices that stayed with me my whole adult life till I consciously then, said that this is a path that I want to walk. This is the knowledge. The more I learned about the wisdom of yoga, the more I learned about its efficacy over the years, the more I felt I wanted to share it with everyone around me, so it felt like there was so much to be shared. And, one does realize that because it stayed with you so long, it will probably stay with you even longer. So, I think it was then, from just a practitioner about 9 years ago, I became a teacher and I've been sharing this beautiful science and the wisdom, the ancient wisdoms ever since. Yeah. Wow. That's the journey that continues.
And how was your first, let's say, if you did a TTC course or did you meet any Guruji with you? How was that experience?
It was beautiful. I always say, now that I'm running my own teacher training programs, that's what I tell my students, that this point in your life will change your life. It is so deeply transformative, and it's transformative because you don't know it's going to transform you inside out. You feel like, we just like, I did the teacher training program, for example, to deepen my own knowledge. At that moment, I didn't have the intention to teach, right? And I know this because I talk to a lot of aspiring teachers. Most of the teachers come to yoga or come to a TTC program because they want to deepen their own knowledge. I mean, and people are afraid of teaching. They're like, no, I don't want to teach. And I was the same way. But once you step into that space, it unravels right at your very deep cellular level. It talks to you at your natural state. So it's almost like layers are peeling off. Layers that we've accumulated are just peeling off because you go so deep inside yourself, not just with the academia aspect, not just the philosophy, but it's all of it put together. It's the lifestyle, it's that whole beautiful space that's created for you to learn and grow. It's almost like you go on a fast track. It's like you're on a fast track mission. So where whatever you're doing will become more intense. So at that time, we're in a very intensive sadhana, right? When you're doing the teacher training program, it's a very intense sadhana. So you go on a fast track and, on the other side, you're like, wow, did I just do that? And you really kind of impress yourself that you were capable of doing it. So, I mean, for me, my experience was very intense. And that's why, this year we're running our first teacher training program. I'm so honored to be able to share this journey even further and to create beautiful teachers into the world, because I think it's such a big responsibility. So yeah, it's been a beautiful journey of over a decade to actually come to this point. And I know the alchemy that takes place when you step into that program, when you step into, it's not about the program, it's about how it transforms you. Just the idea of you taking responsibility and wanting to go deep inside of yourself, wanting to go inside and acquire teaching skills that may or may not pursue, but mostly they do. But I think it makes you meet yourself.
Wow. That means that's a wonderful story. As in, you had those inhibitions when you were a student yourself, but then slowly you realized that you should teach. But let's say, as you got into teaching, what was your experience as you started your first teaching phase? As in, did you see some problems or let's say some thoughts which the students come with pre-hand as they join yoga? As in, there are some assumptions with some people who come into yoga. What was those things that you observed?
Very much so. Especially now we're talking about, we're talking about pre-pandemic times, right? So people had a lot of fixed ideas, a lot of inhibitions about yoga. Yoga is slow. Yoga is so boring. I'm like, please do one class with me. It's anything but that, and people get amazed how, those barriers get broken down, because yoga is anything but slow. Yoga is anything but passive. It's just, it's like I ask people, I'm like, what is it that you want? What is it that you want your mat to gift you? What is it that you want to take away? And it's, obviously it's not about what you do on your mat. It's what you carry off your mat is what really yoga is, right? So it's, say you inculcated something in your practice. Say you inculcated Spandan or Ananda, whatever you aspired to be that day. But how do you carry it while you're cooking your food, while you're talking to your family, while you're interacting with the world? How do you carry that, right? And that's what, then it doesn't matter whether it's fast or slow or whatever, because it's, it changes you at this deep intrinsic level, right? So then those barriers, whatever people had, those inhibitions they had, they fade away in the distance, because this is so much more than you can ever hope for. It's like, it's therapy, it's movement, it's laughter, it's breathwork, it's dhyana, all in one beautiful hour. Wow. Wow. There's such a thing in this world that you can have it all in 1 hour. And then, those inhibitions break down very quickly. I'm not going to say that, it's like, because, and it is, yoga is, it's a workout of the nervous system, of the cardiovascular system, of the respiratory system. Of course, we're moving the body head to toe, but it's so much more than that. That's one little aspect, right? That's just the top of the surface. We know that as practicing yogis, that there's so much more to it. There's so much more. I mean, it's sad to say that, you get a workout or, you want to tone your body. That's why you're doing yoga. That's, it's just all that. All those things are beautiful byproducts. They're side effects. It's so much more than that.
True. Especially the last point you mentioned about dhyana. This is a big problem which has risen in the last 1 year itself, since COVID hit us, that many people are suffering a lot of mental illnesses.
Yes.
A lot of anxiety, a lot of stress that people have started facing.
Yeah.
And whenever I know, again, it could be something wrong from our side, because people, if we recommend them to do yoga, they will again assume that it's just a set of asanas.
Yeah.
Why should we do that for mental peace? But it is very difficult to help them and make them understand all that.
Yeah, but I think now people are coming, because yogis did something right, for so many centuries, we've been yapping away that, do yoga, do some meditation, do some pranayama. And suddenly the pandemic put everything in perspective for everyone. So now teachers are not running after students. Students are coming by the truckload. It's like, no, I want to do pranayam. I want a daily pranayam practice every day. Please teach me meditation, teach me mindfulness. So it's really like, the pandemic turned people's attitudes on its head. And it's a correction that was waiting to happen. So, I think it's this, if this beautiful subliminal idea we can carry with us, I think we'll be in a much better place. Pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, we could be a much happier generation of people. So even though you're right, people have really suffered. Mental health has really suffered through this time. It's been challenging for each one of us because we didn't have the toolkit to deal with these situations. We didn't know how to navigate through this storm. But if we get through on the other side, and I think, the end is in sight, we would come out much more stronger. We'd come out more transformed. We'd come out resilient. So I think that is already happening.
Yeah, that's very well said. Yeah, as in people have been more accepting towards, especially pranayam, because COVID had a major effect on lungs. So everyone wanted to do pranayam. They wanted to sit down and breathe.
Yeah, such a beautiful thing, actually. We've got to, at some level, I think we've got to thank the virus. Guru virus, thank you. For teaching us, for helping us go back to, ancient wisdom. So it's been a challenge, of course, and every challenge is an opportunity to grow. So I think people have, taken it also in their stride, and they have offered themselves really beautiful, I call these atomic habits, right? Micro habits that, I always say that if you want to change your life from the inside out, you don't have to go meditate in a cave in the Himalayas, which is lovely to do, which is wonderful if you have the opportunity. But what you need to do is just add these beautiful atomic habits in your life that will actually, those are the ones that will, sustain. And you do a mandala, you do a 21 days or a 40 days with that habit. And then it will make sure that that habit is etched in your routine. So it's, these small little changes that we can actually invite into our life. And a lot of them, I'm working a lot with corporates these days. So I always tell these guys who are always plugged in for 12, 18 hours, that take 2 minutes of a breathing break every 2 hours. So simple. And people get back to me and saying that, wow, we feel, instead of feeling more tired, you feel more productive, you feel more awakened. 2 minutes of breathing. Wow. It's absolutely miraculous, because we know this as practitioners, that all it's that one moment of that energetic shift, right? It takes one moment to completely shift your energies from, like, say, yin to yang or back to yin, or like if you're feeling heavy and burdened, to feel light and expansive. You just have to tap into the heart energy. There is a science behind it, and when people learn about the science, they get amazed because it works.
That's true. All these small habits would give you a major compounding effect down the line.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's the word. Exactly.
So now coming back to your own yoga practice, what changes did you observe after getting into yoga in physiological and spiritual sense? And I'm asking this in 2 ways. The first way is, as you entered into yoga, let's say your first year, and now in your 10th year, what were the changes that happened physiologically and spiritually?
Yeah, this is really quite a heavy question. You asked me everything. Yeah, because it sustains me. It's the breath. Really, it is the breath. And I really wondered how we live without connection to our breath. It's almost like you're living your life with no navigation system. So it's like you're driving on the road, but like you have a GPS, but you're not using it. Right. So, and the GPS is the guru positioning system, huh? So you're not activating your GPS. So what you're doing is that you're going this way, you're lost. You're going that way, you're lost. Where you have this beautiful mechanism, you just don't know how to use it. So, for me, like learning yoga, and it's not just learning, right? It's about the application of it. Like my guru says that, yoga works beautifully. It will change your life. But the thing is that you have to practice it. So, like with all of these practices, the efficacy is in the practice itself. Practice and all is coming. Even with my spiritual practices, so blessed to be initiated into, the line of spirituality or practices that I feel so grateful that, I carry that, like just on the surface of my heart every day. I'm so, it's just, I think it's gratitude, which really makes it even bigger, because what you're doing, but offering gratitude, offering thanks on a daily basis, just, I think, amplifies everything that alchemy that's going on inside you. So you said physiologically, how do you feel? This I get told all the time. Like, so, I also host international women's conferences. So, we go around the world hosting these conferences. And this is one question people always ask me. Like, we do conferences with thousands of people around the world. At the end of the day, they're like, how are you still on? How are you still going? Because I'm on the stage for 12 hours nonstop, for example, right? I'm like, you've got to dig deep to rise high, So it's a result of my practices that, the energy, the sense of exuberance, the sense of joy that that I feel myself and that I'm able to transmit. And I know I can, because I see a change in the energies of people when, I meet them. And then when we leave, there is a difference. Like we've rhythmized. So, and I will not allow any, any lower vibrations to enter me, because I know I can control it now. I know this much, one has, obviously the higher vibration will consume all the lower vibrations, right? It's like the energy and the passion of fire. It will burn all the impurities around it. So big energy, big vibration works the very same way. It just, sort of purges everything that's in its way, which is impure or, lower, whatever you could say. So yeah, this is one thing that I think I've received as the most cherished gift after years of practice is this sense of exuberance that is inherent for me. I'm always on. I'm always on. It's hard to turn me off. So people tell me that, oh, what is it? What is the key? How does it happen? So I'm like, it's yoga se hoga. So, and yoga is, again, like we know, yoga is a big gamut, it's the spiritual practice, it's the physical practice. And for me, it's much more than the physical practice. It's much more than the asana practice that happens, For me, my asana practice happens when I'm teaching, but it's really like, the kriyas that I do, the kriyas that I've been initiated into. And that's really the depth of my morning. That's really the depth of who I am. Without that, I don't think I would sustain and I would be able to do all that I do. Like I have, I move really fast. Like I move fast from in my head, like because I love to, for me, a place of, I don't have children. I don't plan to have children, but my children are the ideas that I give birth to. It's the businesses that I love to, put into the world. And it's, for me, it's really that birthing process is so redeeming. It's so joyful. And it's so deeply connecting. So it's all these babies that I give birth to, they keep me going. And I think that's all coming from an activated Swadhisthana chakra. It's coming from a deep sense of Mooladhara, so it's like we know after, once you know what kind of practices you're doing, what's activating, where you need to do the work. I remember a time when I would feel often, like, shorter words. And you can see I speak a lot, but I would not express my authentic truth. And then I was experiencing, say, for example, trouble in my, like in my glands, in my throat gland. And then I realized that maybe this is what it is. I need to learn to, not be nice all the time. I have to learn to say, okay, draw the boundaries. So all this awareness, all these, as you move from gross to subtle, you really learn about where you are, where is your barometer in your life, with people around you as well, with work you do as well. So it's, I think that that vision, the clarity of vision is what comes from your practices. I think if I was going to describe it in one word, I think that's what it is. It's, it's a sense of purpose that unravels to you. So we all have plans, right? But the idea is that you have a sense of purpose, because then plans will be made how they have to be. But it's, this tapping into your purposefulness, which is the most beautiful offering of your spiritual, physical practices, the gift of yoga.
That's
I could go on, Harish.
No, that's very well put about purpose. And again, this is for our audience. What you mean by purpose is not like a specific goal. It's more like a broader vision of what you expect from life. And that is something which is drawing you towards it. Tell me if I'm wrong on that part.
Absolutely. It's a bird's eye view. It's like you're able to see, you can switch from micro and macro. And that is a beautiful ability. So you can observe keenly the detail. We know God lives in the details, but you also have the capability to zoom out and be able to see this entire expansive field of vision. And that, it's like you're looking down from a plane. It's a beautiful sight. You marvel at the world you live in. You marvel at, the life that you create for yourself. You marvel at the people that surround you and hold you, unquestioningly. You marvel at like Mama Nature. You marvel at like, I have this beautiful dancing peacock who's just not stopping to bloom. And you marvel. And it's just like it's such a deep sense of overbrimming gratitude. Yeah, both the micro and the macro, both the levels of it.
True. And you also mentioned a very good part in the first part of your answer, that was about breath. So I had heard this story from a monk about his own experience. And he had shared that he had gone to a school to get initiated. There he saw that there were very young monks, as in they could be like 5-year-olds. And the first class which they experienced was not learning to speak. It was not alphabets. The very first class was to learn to breathe. And the teacher who told them, the lesson was that the breath is the first thing which starts in your life and is the last thing which ends in your life. And that was a very beautiful thing, which we don't realize.
Beautiful. I often say that because it really is, it's the most intrinsic aspect of our being, and we pay no attention to it. We pay no, this is also something to think about, right? Like let me ask you this, Harish, right? Okay, like, do you know how long a human being can survive without food?
No.
You're a long distance runner. You should know these things. So 21 days.
Oh, okay.
You know how long human being can survive without, so 3 weeks, yeah? How long can a human survive without water?
3 to 4 days.
Yeah, 3 days, exactly.
Okay.
And how long can we survive without breath?
3 minutes.
Wow, exactly.
Oh, great.
That's it. So, and then it's amazing because when we go out there to people are like, I'm going to like, this is my resolution for the new month or the new year. I'm going to change my life. I'm going to get fit, healthy, all that. They'll begin with a diet, right? All these fancy diets they'll begin with hydration. They'll start, having green juices. They will not. So it's such a paradox that the one thing that we can't survive more than 3 minutes for is the last thing we come to when we want to start to transform our life. So it's like you said, it's in the same rhythm of what you were saying, that it's the very first act that brings us to life. And, it's the last breath that sort of brings our onward journey. And everything in between is life. But, the holding, the pillars of our life here is that inhalation and that exhalation. It's and I like the word inspiration, right? Because you're not just inspiring air, but you're inspiring life, you're inspiring ideas, you're inspiring, this beautiful energy that the universe brings to us. And in the same breath, like, you're expiring, because every out breath is an opportunity for us to come in touch with our own mortality. Every out breath is an expiration of our life energies so that you come back to life on the inspiration. So it's so beautiful because it's such a beautiful continuity of living and dying in every breath. It's such a beautiful reciprocity. And again, like, the air that I'm breathing, if we were sitting in the same room, we'd be sharing the air we're breathing. And, and the air is just ever expansive, right? So like we share in our body, we share the atoms with, a banyan tree in the jungle in Goa, or like, with the Sahara Desert, the sand. So there is, we're so intricately connected, so it's 60% of our DNA is still, Jesus's DNA, or, Krishna's DNA. So we're, there's so much power here. If you tap into it, it's just, it can be miraculous.
So that's true about breath and the value of it. And again, this message goes out to a lot of people who are looking to get into yoga. This is something which, if you're learning, is the first thing which you should get into. So, Mansi, now getting into your business side.
Yeah.
You run a wellness company. Now, based on your company's research for good skin or good hair, what recommendations would you give someone? As well as, can you share 2 food items which someone should add regularly in their meals?
Yeah. Okay. So yes. So I do run a wellness brand called Manaste. We make edible skincare. We make yoga apparel. We're bringing back the ancient way of living. That's the aim. So two changes that people can make in their routine on a daily basis. So a couple of years ago, I stopped using soap. So I think that's one thing I would recommend. You can, there are so many beautiful ways to cleanse and beautify and glow in our pantry, in our kitchen. Especially the Indian kitchen, it's abundant with goodness. So, you can switch your soap to, besan, chickpea flour, or, crushed pulses, dals, and then mix it up with, depending on the skin type, you can mix it up with turmeric, haldi, milk, so basically what we call, what our grandmothers called uptan. So I think, just bringing back the idea of uptan rather than soap, because there's no need, we don't need those chemicals, because our skin is the largest organ of our body. What you apply gets absorbed. 60% of what we place on the surface gets absorbed. So we don't need the chemicals to be going in, into our biggest organ in the body. So I would recommend that's an easy one. My second favorite thing in the world is coconut oil. No, I think it's my most favorite thing in the world is coconut oil. I apply it, I eat it, I do oil pulling with it. I do everything that I even, I put it in my coffee also. So it's literally like one thing I can't live without is coconut oil. And I would recommend that, you make it a part of you, because it's really close to the oil glands that our skin has. So it really absorbs beautifully. It gives a beautiful natural glow. Applying, bathing, you do like a abhyanga massage with coconut oil for yourself every day. You just sort of do and all it takes is like 2 or 3 minutes. It doesn't take long, but you induce that blood circulation with that coconut oil, and you move the strokes towards your heart. So you're activating blood circulation, you're activating your fascia. It's so beneficial, and it doesn't take long. Oil pulling with coconut oil every morning, and not every morning, like twice a week. And so this is in terms of the beauty regimen. And for consuming something simple that can be very, very helpful. So I start my day with a big pitcher of everything that I can find that's available. So, tulsi, haldi, like a kada, right? So just having that to cleanse as the first thing in the morning. So, ginger, also, whatever you have available, add that, especially whatever is available locally. Don't go out looking for it. So we have such beautiful herbs growing all around us, and I often say, like, grow your own herbs, grow like whatever you can find, grow your own. And how that will benefit us and how that will transform us is so much more profound than something you buy off the shelf. So, just try and not buy things off the shelf, and try and consume as much fresh, open, clean, organic produce as possible. That's just an overall recommendation. Yeah. So we're very blessed. We have a farm where we grow our vegetables. So we consume most of our vegetables from the farm. And that it's that food is alive. You can feel it. It's breathing. Ayurveda says, eat from your land. So, it's just rather than eating things that are shelved and grown somewhere else, even if it's from a different state, eat local. It does something for our DNA that's very beneficial. Food talks so deeply to our DNA, so it's important how we treat our gut.
That's a very good point you just said. Eat locally, and this is again for everyone who might think that, let's say, if I get a specific superfood from a different country, and that might
Yes,
help me, that wouldn't help you more than something which is just within 100-kilometer range from where you live, because that food is more
absolutely.
alive.
Absolutely. We are very organic creatures. We thrive in nature. We thrive in. That's why just I think there is something very deeply connecting with the microbiome and the local food that you can consume. There is a beautiful connection. There's a beautiful network that it creates. So one tip is I always say that, each meal, each plate that you make for yourself should have the colors of a rainbow. So, and it's also like eating for your chakras. So it's like the 7 colors of the chakra. But, 7 obviously is very ambitious. So what you can do is, have at least 3 colors on every meal that you serve. Red, peppers, dal, yellow, and like a chapati or rice. And of course, a salad. Like, so, just a good quantity of raw foods in every meal. But the colors are important because they talk to your chakras.
Very similar to an Indian thali, be it any state.
Absolutely. You're right. Absolutely. Our ways are very profound. We already have all this wisdom. We just need to bring it back. We just need to go back to our roots. We need to go to our grandmother's kitchens and just bring back everything that they did, because they did something right.
True. That's something which everyone should start practicing, even if you might not be having a disease, even if you might be having a very good life as per your perspective.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, Mansi, moving on to your corporate session side, you practice and conduct Yoga Nidra sessions, which is also called as yogic sleep. Now, can you explain what is it exactly and how much value have you derived it in your personal practice?
So I don't do just Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra is sometimes we do teach them Yoga Nidra as a tool, which is very important because they need to unplug. But we do all, what I practice with corporates is a wide range of things. We do breath work, foundational breath work. We do, we do all kinds of meditations, which are very simple for them. We do, something that they really love is mindfulness tools. So very simple mindfulness tools that they can apply while sitting in office. And I tell them that, I teach them always Ujjayi breath. And I'm like, keep it with you, keep it on, keep your Ujjayi on all the time. So it's, it's just really like small things. Like this is another small habit that can really change your life. And Yoga Nidra as well. Of course, it's so powerful. But sometimes Yoga Nidra can be, you have to have people who are receptive. If people are not receptive, they will... they'll torture themselves in the Yoga Nidra session, or they'll have they'll be snoring. So one extreme or the other. So, especially with people who've never practiced, I think the breakdown has to be very slow. You have to give them small capsules. So you give one capsule, let it explode in their bodies and their minds and their hearts, and then let them come back for more, So it's, I think it has to be very simplistic. So they feel like it's not overwhelming and they can really, it's applicable to their lives, give them, like say, simple breathing techniques or mindfulness techniques that they can practice. Like if I tell you now to close your eyes and start counting your breath 20 to 1, you'll do it. It's easy. There's nothing overwhelming about that. But if I tell you to do like Bhastrika Pranayama right now, you'll be like, no, I'm in office. I cannot. Even though I tell them to do Bhastrika. And then, it's like a whole office floor is doing Bhastrika together when they're all feeling sleepy around 4 p.m. I'm like, this is good. You guys need to keep this going. So, people are entertained with the way we unpackage yoga now, with the way we unpackage pranayama. So, they're like, we don't want to do like alternate nostril breathing. I'm like, no, we won't do just alternate nostril breathing. We'll do that too. But, we'll awaken you, because I think the thing is that you need to wake people up. They're sleeping. People have gone to sleep. So I like to wake them up. I like to wake them up. And, it's not just waking up physically. It's like, say hello to the spirit. Meet yourself. Say hi to yourself. Like, when was the last time, you really sat doing nothing at all? And it's a shocking question, obviously. Like, I'd ask you, you'll have a very good answer for me. That's why I won't ask you. But, you ask people, like, when was the last time you spent 10 minutes doing nothing at all? And nothing means not even eating, no phones, no devices, no checking email. And it means not even thinking. And that's what it is, right? Because that's the hardest thing in the world. And that's the aim, because that's my aim, that people can, sit for 10 minutes doing nothing at all. So you inculcate, just don't call it meditation. You get scared.
That seems more overwhelming for everyone.
Yeah, really. So you have to just keep it so simple, keep it so basic. And, it's got to be, because now we're only teaching online, right? All the exchange is online. So I find that it's such a beautiful opportunity to share from wherever people are, wherever you are, share whatever you have. But the challenge with teaching online is that you have to be bigger. Like, it's a performance, right? You see me, like, everything is big, Right. If I'm sitting with you in person, it can be a bit more contained. But online, to get people's attention, and now we know people's attention is 3 minutes. And that's not even 3 minutes. It varies between 30 seconds to 3 minutes.
True.
I even read somewhere it's even 30 seconds. So
I read it that it's lesser than the attention span of a goldfish, which is around 7 seconds.
Oh my God. So, they're not with you the whole time. So whenever you have them, you better catch them good. It's like, okay, yeah, now I have you. So it's obviously, as facilitators, we have to be a lot more energized. We have to be a lot amplified. It's like, it's almost like being theatrical. But, that's the only way. And I'm happy to do it, because it's just, I love this medium. I love being able to, teach via the radio waves, via the Wi-Fi's of the world. I think it's so beautiful. You can connect the entire universe. And, we are in the process of organizing the largest virtual yoga festival in the world that's ever happened. So, and this could never happen if we didn't have the blessings of the pandemic. So now everyone can be where they are. We have less carbon footprint. We have less fossil fuels being burnt. And I think there is also an advantage that they're a little bit more present. If you are here with me for a purpose in a class, not this, but in a class, you are going to be a lot more present, because you are willingly here. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. You'll turn it off, right? But you're here. So there's a lot more mindfulness. There's a lot more presence, consciousness in a way. Yeah.
That is true. A big boon post the pandemic. I guess we might have jumped at least 5 years ahead down the line in terms of how we have been accepting online classes. Because I felt that no one would be ready to do online classes before the pandemic, and then everyone started doing it.
Absolutely. It has completely transformed. People have opened up to the idea of, being on their computers. And I don't think it interferes in the learning process, because, we're running our TTC virtually. And I think it's, it's beautiful, because you just have to, there is a whole, there's a whole system around that. There is a way to do it. Like I was telling you, like about being theatrical, there are ways. I think now people are going to be talking about how to teach yoga online. This is going to be the new module, because this is here to stay.
Right.
This is definitely here to stay. It could be also a combination, like a hybrid, on and offline, a combination, which is nice, because we do need human contact. But, if I can access a guru like, in the far reaches of the Himalayas online, and I don't have the opportunity to be with him in person, why wouldn't I, tap into that opportunity? You would.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah.
So now, Mansi, moving on to your personal routines. How do you prime yourself for the day? Do you have any morning routine?
Yes. So mornings are usually depends on like the class schedules and things, but my practice is key, like I said to you. So for me, my practice, is most important, and I need to sort of, around that, the day gets curated. So and then, of course, I mean, it's not written in stone. If you're traveling, then you do it a bit later in the day, but usually it's the mornings that I think you need to offer yourself a beautiful, big, luxurious morning where you're with your breath, you're with nature, preferably. It's a time that you are in a very yin state of mind. You're much more internalized, you're much more reflective, because there is already that's available for you as a part of the circadian rhythm. Right. So I think that's important for me. And otherwise the days are chaotic. Before the day consumes you, it's important to get the practice in. And I think my days are chaotic by choice. I like it like this. This is how I thrive. There needs to be multiple things on the go. I need to feel that, there is a life is bubbling all around me. I need to feel that. And when I want to tap into the quiet, when I want to tap into that silence, which is in the center of the storm, that I can do that. All I need to do is close my eyes, tap into my breath. It's easy, right? It's always accessible. But that's the thing. You have to make yourself in such a way that it's always accessible, that you close your eyes and you bliss out. Then it doesn't matter what storm is brewing on the outside. But, deep inside, like, the very center of us, it's a beautiful, still, quiet place. It's deeply grounding place. So
whenever you have these busy days, right, when it's like too much of work, do you squeeze in any 10-minute practice? And if yes, then what kind of practice is that?
When I have, and this is something I do every morning anyway, which as I wake up, so that's something that's non-negotiable. That's about it varies, so between 10 to 30 minutes is what I do as soon as I wake up. So it's something that is very simple, and it's something that it really is very, very grounding for me. So, I'll do a few rounds of Ujjayi breath, and then I just sit with emptiness for about 15 minutes. So it's almost, it's like you go into a zero state. It's almost like it's a transcendental meditation, sort of. So basically, it's when I tell people to do this, it's almost just like do nothing, really do nothing at all. Don't think anything. If you're feeling, if you're falling off to sleep, let yourself sleep, just stay seated, stay with it. And then obviously one will understand when is that 15 minutes, running out. Over time, you do understand that. But it's, it's like you go into a shunya, and it reveals itself. You go deeper in it, the more you stick with it. Of course, people are like, like it's, I'm sleeping or whatever. Obviously, in the beginning, it's not something which is very comfortable to us because we're not in touch with ourselves. But it takes, over time, it makes its way into your body, mind, and soul so beautifully. So it's what I like, 15 minutes of shunya, nothing, just being with nothingness. It's, one of my favorite practices to wake up to in the morning.
Oh, that's beautiful. Means getting into that state of shunya is very difficult for someone to explain to someone who's very new. But for people who have experienced this is something which would connect definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what is your practice?
So if I have a very short time, I would try to get at least 10 to 20 Surya Namaskars. And that is something which just brings a spurt of energy within me. And
Beautiful.
yeah, that is like my key practice. And if I want to just calm down, I would get into any form of pranayama.
Wonderful, wonderful, beautiful. So yeah, Surya Namaskar definitely for the physical part is a non-negotiable for me as well. 12 rounds, like, just whether something else happens or not, because that is definitely, I want to definitely resonate with you on that one.
Yeah, I don't know what is in it, but it's very powerful. And I've had a word on this with many people, but everyone has those similar thoughts.
Yeah, because I mean, it's I think it's because it's one of the most comprehensive practices that have been designed in our, in the science of yoga, and it works at so many levels. And I think this is my reasoning for why Surya Namaskara is so profound, and it has an effect on so many levels, that I think it's because, even though you're moving the physical body, but what you're actually doing is that you're using the physical body as a stepping stone to higher possibilities. So you always allow, if you're doing it right, and I always encourage people to practice it with eyes closed. That's when the magic happens. That's when
I should definitely try this too then. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, Harish. You must try it with eyes closed, because that's when you will unpack all of its power and magic. I mean, you're already deriving so much that it's a non-negotiable practice for you. But if you were to enhance it a little bit more, if you wanted to get a little bit more out of your practice, I think that would be the way.
Yes. I will definitely practice, and I'll let you know on those benefits.
Yeah, please do.
So now, moving on to a food question. Do you have any food choices which you strictly avoid?
Lots of foods I strictly avoid. I mean, I don't like to eat anything packaged. I don't like to eat, anything. I mean, I like to eat fresh sattvic food. It doesn't matter what it is, but I like freshly cooked sattvic food from the land that I'm in. So I do travel a lot. So I like, that's basic. It's just, I think, it's a big gamut of what you can eat and also what you can't eat. And of course, when there's no choice, you eat whatever's available. But I'd really much rather not. It's so simple to, like, you can get dal chawal everywhere, right? So that's really like khichdi is my favorite food.
True, as in like that is the best recommendation. Try to get as much local as possible, and if you can go a step ahead, grow it yourself.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Exactly. I mean, if we don't have the luxury of being able to grow it ourselves, at least the least we can do is source it locally from the local farmer. Like, he's working very hard to grow this beautiful food for us. And, all of the energy that goes into the nourishment of that plant is being consumed by us. So it's very powerful. And you won't find the same prana in the food or the same nourishment in the food if you ate, say like frozen foods, or like, a can of foods, which, I mean, fortunately in India, we don't do that so much. So it's, actually, we are very, very blessed.
Actually, the sad thing is that packaged food is so readily available and in such cheap quantities that easily people do fall into that trap.
So true. Exactly. Because, I mean, it's like eating plastic, right? Even like a bag of potato chips. It's like, when were they harvested? When were they, like, deep fried, whatever. I mean, I don't even want to think about all that. It's like eating plastic, then you might as well just eat, like
your chair
styrofoam. Yeah.
True.
But, then I think it's also, I don't think it's nice to, push philosophies on people, because, people should make their own choices. It's important. So it's nice to educate people like what you're doing. It's a beautiful way to inform people. And it's also a beautiful way to have, people meet other people who have different choices, who've made more aware, conscious choices. And I think when you do that, you open that, rather than telling people, what's more beautiful is that you lead by example, and you sort of show them a little peephole into a different way of living and what that can do for you, rather than following these diets and all of that. I think just, one size doesn't fit all. We're all built so uniquely. And that uniqueness is our true celebration of each one of us. You have a lot more strength that you can sort of take your body towards. I maybe have more flexibility, or I have maybe more, to be able to sit for long hours in meditation. We are all so different, so it's not right to say that do this and don't do this. And I think just life is anyway too short. We're not here for very long, so really we do. End of the day, if you consume whatever you're doing, whatever you're consuming mindfully, and most importantly, joyfully, it will do good for you. It will induce high prana for you. There's no way it can harm you. So, anything can be made good for you, or it can be made bad for you, depending on what is the bhava with which you're consuming it.
That's very well said. That's very well said. So, Mansi, we've just come to the end of our show. What message would you like to give to everyone?
I want to just add, when we were talking about my business, I had finished I'm a trained filmmaker, so I was making documentary films. And I came back from Australia, hoping to make documentary films is what I was doing. But then I realized that I wanted to create something that was an earth nourishing enterprise, but yet was coming from a place of passion for me. And that's when my entrepreneurial enterprise was born, which is called House of Kapaali, which we didn't talk about. So that's what I wanted to add. House of Kapaali is we run homestays that are focused around eating well, living well, and living connectedly, close to nature, close to your breath. In Delhi, outside of Delhi, in the Himalayas, and in Goa. So I feel very, very blessed that I was able to, sort of do this for the past 10, 12 years. And it's been a beautiful journey. And it's, and it always, every day feels still the beginning. You do it for so many years, and you do it at like autopilot, but it just every day feels so new, and it feels so fresh. And like I always say that, when you do what you love, you don't work a day in your life. It's like you're on constant vacation. A lot of times I walk into places, they're like, oh my God, it looks like you're just coming back from the beach. And I'm going into a meeting in Delhi. I'm like, yes, because it's all up here. The beach is here. The mountains are here. It's all in your head. So, where are you living? Are you living, there's a beautiful mantra I use. It's where the attention goes is where the energy flows. Right? We know this. So what is it that, what you practice, whatever you practice as a bhava, as an experience in your life, is what is going to grow stronger. So, like I would ask you, Harish, are you practicing being impatient? Are you practicing being unkind? Are you practicing, being compassionate? Are you practicing being joyful? Are you practicing, getting stronger? Whatever it's because it's exactly like we make biceps in the gym, like you make muscles using your, what is it called again?
Kallagadai,
which you can see behind you. Yeah. Because obviously we know that when we do the Kallagadai, we'll get the body overall, will gain strength and tonality, right? And It's the very same with how you treat the muscles in your mind. These are the mental biceps that we strengthen in the gymnasium of life. So what is it that you're growing? What is it that you want to grow? Because what you grow is what you'll reap on the other side. So it's, we mustn't forget that. We can't hope to live our days angry, short-tempered, impatient, and at the end of the day, have sunflowers blossoming for us. No, for that, you have to sow the seeds of joyfulness, of sunshine, of nourishment, of nurturement, not just for people around you, but for yourself. We've got to shift ourselves back up on the priority list, on the to-do list. We went too down. We need to shift ourselves back on the top of our to-do list. Because like I said before, we're not here for very long. It's a short life. And, what is it that you plan to do with this one wild and beautiful life? Ask yourself this question every day. Find a mantra that works for you. And, this works for me. Am I practicing what I want to grow stronger? Am I feeding that? Am I in tune with, am I in alignment with my purpose? Am I in alignment? And then the plans and then the daily life and all of the mundane stuff will also fall into resonance when you are stepping into your authentic truth, when you're in alignment with your higher purpose. And we already know each one of us is born with that, cellular information embedded in our DNA. It's already present. We just need to shed off the layers. We need to relax a little bit. We need to not take ourselves so seriously. We need to laugh more. We need to love more. We need to hug more and really live a life which is, of profound beauty and exuberance and bliss, which is our natural state.
Yes. As you said, finding a larger purpose. If someone does get that one thing right, everything falls straight.
Yeah, so true. So true.
So
that's not rocket science.
Yeah,
it's easy.
True. It is definitely not rocket science. True.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mansi ji. It was great talking with you, having your ideas shared here about breath, about purpose, about how someone should take steps entering into yoga, as well as we will make sure to add all the links, all your social links, your TTC link in the show notes too for our audience if they want to inquire more on this, and that should help them too. Any parting words you have to say?
I have to say that you're doing a fantastic job. I hope that we can clone you so that you can do much more of this with much more vigor, and you can spread this beautiful sense of celebration, and just because wellness is a sense of celebration, reaching deep inside your state of well-being, your state of wellness through yoga, through meditation, through fitness. I think that is what is soul nourishing. And what you're doing is beautiful, fantastic, so inspiring. And I wish you all the best in what you're doing.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. Thank you. Thank you, Mansi.
Namaste, Harishji. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Namaste.
Thank you.